Yes, and yeah, I won't say that. It's inappropriate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here before he eventually does say it.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka E-Dub, in the house. So we're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother.
What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. FSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
Woo! Yeah, Twitter is bugging tonight, but we are live. What is going on? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoelGameDay.com. We're here on a rather pretty nasty and rainy and cold day here in Tallahassee, and pretty cold day up there in Charlotte. But right now, it's just me, Beezy, and D-Lou. We're waiting on Nate. The internet is kind of getting iffy with me over here tonight with the storm passing through. So we're just chilling like villains. Looking forward to having some good discussion after Florida State took down Duke. Me and D-Lou were in attendance for that, along with Maddox down there covering for Noel Game Day. Well, we're looking forward to talking about that one. We've got a new transfer from Oregon, running back Trey Benson, that we will most certainly discuss. We got some transfers from Georgia hitting the portal that we'll talk about, including wide receiver Jermaine Burton. We're going to talk some Chris Parson. He just dropped his first journal with us, and we'll discuss that along with some other visitors this past weekend. And there's also some more visits happening this upcoming weekend with Dustin in attendance. And then we've had a few player interviews this week. Purdy commits to Nebraska. Kendal Briles turns down the Miami offer twice. No means no. Keep that in mind there, Mario Cristobal. No means no. And Akers is back. Can't wait to talk about Cam Akers and also Jalen Ramsey. They're looking like they're going to have a good run there in the NFL playoffs. I can't say the same about my Steelers. And then for the rest of the pod, we're talking Florida State versus Duke, FSU versus UNF, and we will preview Syracuse, their next upcoming game. No. Gentlemen, that was a lot. No. That was a lot. I'm winded.
You were wrong. You already played Syracuse Saturday. We're playing Miami.
That's what I thought. You tricked me earlier. You tricked me.
No,
you said Syracuse, and I was like,
recap
Miami.
We had 3 games this week.
I will say I kind of blocked out basketball for like a month and a half. Definitely whenever all the COVID stuff was going on. But now I'm fully back. After the Duke game, I'm back in it. I watched the UNF game while I was here working during lunchtime. I'm fully back. I had it on my phone over here. It has my attention, and it also has Dustin's. Dustin hadn't gone to a game in a little while too, so sorry to call you out, D-Lou.
Oh, I got married. I had a honeymoon. I had a lot going on. You don't really have any excuses. You're back on the bandwagon after 5 straight wins. I get it, but don't call me out. I had stuff going on.
Yeah, I know. Austin's always the one in there in the pain, and get it. He's in the pain basketball term there. Anyways, he's the one that watches all of them.
Today, but they wouldn't let me go.
No. Yeah. Yeah, me. But yeah, how are we doing, gentlemen? We doing good? Nate's not here, so this should be a fantastic pod. This should be great.
My boneless buddy has left me. Where you at, Nate?
Yeah, the boneless buddies. He starts it last week, and he starts campaigning it on Twitter too immediately that night and all throughout the week, and now he doesn't even show up for the podcast. And that's just what chicken nugget people with sauce on them do. They kind of say some things and then they hide. It was funny though, D-Lou. We were sitting in the stands at the basketball game, and it was heading into overtime, and one of the 2 college girls had looked up at us and said, "Hey, I listened to the podcast, Boneless Buddies." I didn't talk to her for the rest of the evening, but we do appreciate you for listening to the show. Definitely, you should DM us. I got to throw you some merch. Thank you for supporting us. But the Boneless Buddies thing, cut it.
That was my favorite part of the game. I think I enjoyed that more than FSU beating Duke, honestly. But I couldn't understand what she was saying. It was so loud in there. I was just like, Thank you.
Well, you are also 1.5 tall beers in too. You got to admit that.
That ain't nothing.
And it's a known fact you're lightweight.
It's a typical. What night was that? Typical
Tuesday night for
night.
Dustin. Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, that was a fun night. We'll get to that later on in the show. As always, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button. We'd definitely appreciate it. Comment if you're on Facebook too. Comment with us tonight so we can engage with y'all and answer some questions. But if you're also trying to listen to this an audio version, we're on iTunes and Spotify. You guys go check that out. Also, Google Play. Let's get started, gentlemen. Let's start off with number one. Florida State lands Oregon running back Trey Benson. This one was discussed quite a bit all throughout the week, and I think fans are 50-50 on it. It might be even more of negative takes than there are positive takes. I think there's just different ways you can take it. I try to be an optimistic person, and we'll discuss this. But Florida State is bringing in Benson. He came and visited the day after he commits to Florida State. We kind of got some word on this earlier last week and saw this coming. I think they wanted to see him in person, evaluate him, and they probably did their due diligence and talked with any of the contacts they had over there at Oregon. He's 6'1", 215 pounds, and seems to be that he'll have 4 years remaining. Is that correct, D-Lou? 4 years?
Yeah, some people have said 3, some have said 4. I think it's probably 4, based on the COVID year and 2020 not really counting.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing here, and we'll talk about it, is his health and the leg injury that he suffered. So he went through a pretty brutal leg injury to not just only his knee, but almost, we read up on his hamstring too. There's just a really, really tough injury. It's even hard to come back and run from, but it seems like he's recovered and he was allowed to participate. Like, he was cleared to participate this last season. Just didn't have a whole ton of burn. And, Florida State, kind of maybe weren't expecting this. There was also Dye, who entered the transfer portal, who had more of a production for Oregon. But Florida State takes Benson. It seems like they feel pretty comfortable with taking him in. And, that now joins Trayshawn Ward. Now you got a youngin' like Rodney Hill jumping in there. You got DJ Williams, who transferred from Auburn. You lose Corbin. You've got Toa Philly. So this is kind of a room that's growing. I mean, I don't know. I still think the staff was going to wait till the spring, but they see something in Benson.
Yeah, like you said, he suffered a pretty serious injury during his true freshman season at Oregon. During a practice tore his ACL, MCL, lateral meniscus, medial meniscus, and I'm pretty sure more than that. So it was a pretty serious injury, but at the same time, he didn't have any nerve damage or any after effects like that. Like you said, Logan, rehabbed, was available this past season as a backup, but you have to think the injury happened, I believe, November of his freshman year. So really, he wasn't a full year removed from that until about 2 months ago or so. So this is a guy that's still really getting back from that injury. Had 6 carries, I think 22 yards, and a touchdown this past season in reserve action. But now moving into his time at Florida State, he's going to be going into that second year removed from the injury. That's normally when you see people starting to get their legs back under them. You look at Deshaun Corbin. He had that hamstring injury that knocked him out at Texas A&M, came to Florida State, kind of struggled a little bit in 2020, and then this year has a breakout season and is now heading into the NFL. So, yeah, he's had a serious injury, but guys have come back from it before. And just looking at Mike Norvell's history with running backs, he's put so many guys in the NFL at Memphis. He's going to put Corbin in the NFL at Florida State. You look at what he's done with Trayshawn Ward, Lawrence Toa-Philly, those guys. If there's one area that I'm not going to doubt Mike Norvell, it's when it comes down to scouting running backs.
Yeah, and that's something I was telling a lot of people too. We were talking about on the Mark Rogers show last night, and look at Corbin. I mean, also had an injury. I don't think this one was as severe as obviously Benson coming in. But first, you look at what overall Norvell has done on the transfer portal. He's been one of the best coaches in college football right now at killing it, evaluating guys and coming in and where they fit in depth pieces too. You also look in the running back in his past history, putting guys in the NFL and really having excelled in the running back department in college. And so then you take those two and then you say, hey, if they've evaluated him, they've done their due diligence. They've done a really good job of understanding, what the severity of the injury was. How does he look now? I'm sure trainers and, whatever else they had inside the program, take a look at the leg. If they've done all of that, then there's no reason not to trust what the staff has picked. I think, Florida State fans, you can only really go back and look at high school tape. I'm sure a lot of people have, but you don't get a lot of college tape to work with. So that it's 50-50. It's tough. I try to stay optimistic, and, I don't think the staff has done anything to sway me from being, positive. I think, until something like that happens, it's been they've been on a good roll in this transfer portal. And, I do trust Norvell's instincts there in getting talent in the running back room. I mean, Florida State has done a great job. Like we said, Deshaun Corbin came in and ended up being your starting running back for 2 years.
I also don't think they needed a guy to come in and be a productive running back right away. I mean, we've already talked about, you have Trayshawn Ward, DJ Williams, and Toafili all coming back for next season. You didn't need a guy that can make an immediate impact. You really didn't need it. Get a guy you can develop. But you can also look at it as, the evaluation on Milton's knee didn't quite work out. So how does this evaluation on Benson's knee look out? We'll see, but they didn't really need an impact running back. Worst case, it's a guy you can develop, and it doesn't sway the needle that much either way.
Yeah, and the thing with this injury is it wasn't near as serious as Mackenzie Milton's injury. It was a serious injury, but it wasn't to the magnitude of something like Milton, where he had so many procedures and it was a question mark if he would ever even be able to return to college football. This is a guy that has recovered, and Logan mentioned it earlier. Florida State got him on campus before accepting his commitment, and he was in town for quite a while. So I'm sure the staff, you said it, Logan, did their due diligence on his injury, checked out his medical records and everything, and they've got to be confident with how this thing is going to go. And you also have to think Kenny Dillingham over there at Oregon right now probably got to look at him as well, and I'm sure Mike Norvell will potentially reach out and got an opinion there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think this one will be interesting. There's a question here from 21 asking, why didn't FSU go after Travis Dye instead of Trey Benson? And I think there's a certain thing. I mean, everybody will have their own ideas on this. I think Florida State probably was early on in contacting and building that relationship with Trey. I mean, you look at Micah Pittman too. He's done a lot of recruiting. He's the one that tweeted on Twitter that, there's another one coming. They're not done yet. And so it seemed like this relationship was built really early on. And maybe Micah Pittman had gotten into the staff's ear and kind of give them a heads up on Benson and, giving them firsthand thoughts on how maybe he was doing in practice scrimmages, being around him in person too, as someone that we'd bring in the locker room. And so they felt pretty positive about it. And Dye might not have even thought about, entertaining Florida State staff. I'm sure they would love to kick the tires if they hadn't already. But some of these guys, when you hit the transfer portal, are already kind of having some ideas of teams that they maybe are expecting to hear from, or kind of in their head or know exactly where they're going. So that's my kind of take on it there, D-Lou.
Yeah, I think it just kind of came down to timing, because Benson entered the portal a couple days or maybe even closer to a week before the other running back. So I really just think it came down to timing in the end of it. I'm sure they would have liked to take a look at him, but it is what it is. You kind of have your starters there with Trayshawn Ward, Lawrence Toafili, and DJ Williams. The guys are going to be contributing, and we'll see behind that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, most likely. We'll talk about it a lot more. I mean, he's not coming in to be your pure starting running back. No. I think fans need to they probably do understand that, but let's make sure we keep that in mind. He's not here to be RB1. I don't even think RB2. That's not really the case, in my opinion.
Not
He's
this
going to
season.
get carries, but it's just not going to be. That's not the case this upcoming year. Nate, welcome back. Hope the nap was good. How was the nap?
Nah, man. Splitting headache, man.
Uh-oh.
I'm good to go now, though.
Okay. Woo. We're back, though. We'll help you.
It's all getting old, man.
You don't look old. You don't look old.
I mean, compared to Dustin, no, for sure.
We were just talking about how old he looks.
I don't have any gray in my beard yet, but
that's fine.
It's coming. The more I talk to you, the more
that's wisdom, bro. That's wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me tell you how wise you are.
Nate, real quick, we're moving on kind of from Trey Benson, but your take on Benson. Should Florida State fans just, riot that they brought in Benson here?
I mean, I understand the trepidation with the injury. I understand that, but they have very limited depth at running back. So I understand the take also. Coming back, he played last year, so it's not like he sat out a year. Granted, he didn't have a ton of production, but from what I heard coming on, Logan, I think you're saying that he's not a guy that's going to be dependent on to be a primary carrier. I think you have Ward, Toafili, and Williams, and even the walk-on, CJ Campbell, who a lot of people are pretty high on, based off last season. So, it's a depth take, and if he's a guy who can get close to form, pre-injury, he was a 10.5, 100-meter speed guy. So see how it works out, man. It's a scholarship that was open. The running backs that are in the portal, I think the one that everyone wanted still has not entered the portal, and you just go from there, man. I mean, I don't think that Florida State didn't take him without doing homework.
Yeah.
So
we discussed that. They did their due diligence. They did their evaluations. Definitely, I think it was good to have him come visit and see him in person before they announced and did the signing.
Sure. And I think that was the delay in it, man.
Yeah.
It's simple. Some people expected it last weekend. I think it was delayed because I think FSU wanted to do their homework and make sure that this isn't a wasted scholarship.
No, exactly. So we'll move on from the Trey Benson stuff here, but 6'1", 215, big back coming in, big back, big back. You need to go back outside and excel your.
As we saw with Cam Akers, athletes recover differently now. Just with the changes in medicine and rehabbing and all this kind of stuff. It's a different game now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about
I don't hate it.
Akers, man. We'll talk about it later, but look at Akers. Ridiculous. I don't know what's happening. And look at Jameis.
Yep.
An older guy. Look how well he's feeling.
Jameis looks really good right now.
If Jameis is old, then man, damn.
Right.
I'm not saying he's old, but
you're like an older guy. Bro, he's
there's
like
an
27.
age. There's an age difference. He's
as old as me.
He's not like Big Ben.
Well, don't even get me into this. We're talking too much about age today, Dustin. Don't make me bring up anything. I don't know what I'd bring up really, anyways, except for college and graduating. What year did he graduate, Austin? What did he start?
Oh, Dustin, he started college, I believe, in 2006.
And I'm still enrolled, baby.
Oh, damn.
That financial aid is kicking.
Still
Absolutely going stupid.
Is it the bachelor you're getting or the master's doctorate?
I've almost got my AA. Like I'm a couple credits away.
That's close. It's close. Nate, would you like to have Jermaine Burton on your football team in the wide receiver room? Would you like to have him?
Let me ask you this, kind of as a retort to.
We can trade questions.
Kind of as a retort, follow up to Benson. Burton's had a lot of injuries too. So why is everyone so excited about that possibility of taking Jermaine Burton, but everyone questions, taking the running back? But
I think that one's just because of didn't have any kind of really college production this past year. But I understand your take though. On
but
health reason.
To answer your question, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would take him because not for nothing. Georgia. Florida State has their warts right now. Florida State has things that they need to work on. But for Georgia to be such a preeminent top program right now, they do a really poor job at receiver and quarterback. So it'd be an opportunity for him to get on a different stage and show what he's got. So if that happens, man, what they've done with that wide receiver room is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes. So Jermaine Burton from Georgia enters the transfer portal. I'd kind of kicked the tires on a few sources on Georgia's side of things, and they said it was kind of all rumors. It wouldn't have been a shock, though, if he were to enter the transfer portal. But I think that a lot of the fan base you could see on social were a little shocked by that. They were not happy with Kirby Smart whatsoever.
Well,
but Georgia fans are also spoiled. They're
we kind of chatted about it, between us.
Yeah,
in our chat, there seems to be a little bit of smoldering ashes of smoke there.
Yeah, and I think too. I mean, look at the relationships between Pittman and Wilson. I mean, those two guys transferring in, played together in high school in Calabasas. That's where we started kind of trying to connect dots there. You starting the relationships, and you saw Micah Pittman right away in the comments on IG. You also saw Jermaine Johnson, who I don't think a lot of people are talking about there, but played at Georgia. Could have a pretty interesting role if this starts kicking up and, Burton is starting to entertain what Florida State is offering over here. I think it's going to come down to the potential of him obviously being a starter, which he would be when coming to Tallahassee, but it's going to come down to the quarterback situation too. We're hearing some names along with Oregon. I heard LSU as a potential name in Florida State. Even Alabama. So this kind of comes down to he wants to be that pure number one, and what the Georgia side of things that they're saying is the volume. He wanted more volume, and but the thing with him though, I wasn't fully healthy, but top end speed at that size is extremely special. That would be a major get for Florida State's offense overall. Not even that wide receiver room, but for the offense overall.
I mean, you look at guys like Winston Wright and Burton, those are two guys that can take the top off of defense very quickly. And then you have the versatility of Pittman, and then you have Malik McClain. The question is that if that does happen, Florida State would definitely have some kids enter the portal because there's only so many reps and so many balls to go around. I would fully expect FSU to have some attrition there.
Yeah, and I mean, you've already seen the indictment, I would say, that the FSU staff has in that wide receiver room by bringing in 4 new guys, but imagine bringing in a 5th. That's a lot of new bodies and a lot of guys.
Imagine being a fly on that wall in those meeting rooms of how much they just don't like that room. Let's bring in 5 different guys in one offseason.
It's insane. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that through the transfer portal yet. Just completely rebuilding a room. I mean, you've got starters and you've got guys that aren't going to start but are going to be depth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got guys behind them that are in the room now that are going to stick around and still contribute. You mentioned Malik McClain, Joshua Burrell. I think Ontario Wilson could have a role, but there's some guys that, Ja'Kai Douglas, splitting time between receiver and running back, but there's some guys that have just been passed up, and that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, I understand, the intrigue of Bama, what they've done at wide receiver. They're going to lose Jameson Williams, and I think did Mechie announce that he's going to leave? Maybe I'm missing something.
I know
on
Bolden
that one.
did. Slade Bolden. I know he's leaving.
Bolden. So I understand there being an
Mechie will be
opportunity to
gone.
go there to be an immediate contributor there. So it's going to be interesting if FSU can pull that off and complete that. That would be extremely beneficial.
This is just going to be another week of a thrill, probably maybe 2 weeks of where Florida State and FSU Twitter just eat each other alive over about one player in a transfer, just like how it was around Tyree West, and just absolutely losing their mind and going at one another. But patience. There is time a little bit, kind of just depending on what Florida State can do academically if they were to get a guy in this late into a semester. But, still patience. Everything doesn't happen overnight. And I hope kind of fans are learning that probably after the Trey Benson stuff, because
What do you mean?
just off of them on Twitter, just going
Needs to happen right now.
Yeah, I know. It needs to happen immediately. Like by 10 o'clock, it needs to go down. Just pull another Julian Armella before we get off the show, please.
I'm enjoying it, man. It's keeping the off season
fun, I like
fresh,
that.
and exciting. I mean, look, we're less than 2 weeks away now from National Signing Day. By the time all that's over, we'll be sitting right there at spring practice. Just got to make it to August, baby. Just got to make it to August.
That's my birthday.
And I think everyone is waiting to see what happens in spring at the quarterback position. I think that, the likelihood of taking a transfer there is going to be
What do you think?
Something to watch.
You think it depends on how spring ball kind of shakes out, and if they think Rodemaker can take that next step to be a backup, or if they see signs from Duffy?
Yeah, I have an interview with Danny O'Neill coming out that I did, 2024 quarterback. He spent a lot of time with Tony Tokars when he was in town. And, FSU they feel pretty confident what they have at quarterback and coming back. I know that it's not ideal to have only 3 scholarship quarterbacks, but if they feel like what they have, they can work with it. No, I think it's going to be something to watch.
Yeah, no, it is. We will definitely keep an eye on it. I think that's why I was a little shocked too about already in this, before you even get to the spring too. You bring Benson in, but we've already talked about that. But
and one more thing about that just popped in my head about Burton. If they land him, a kid like Deuce Bond, who by all accounts is an athletically gifted special athlete, he's still learning the wide receiver position. So, that gives him a little bit of time to continue to adapt. His contribution to FSU is the back end of next year into the year after. That's when I think you really expect him to take the next step. So, it'd be interesting. It's interesting to watch what happens there because, like you said, Logan, I don't think Georgia fans expected him to kind of make the move.
Yep. Nope. Johnny's on here asking, has anybody heard about Carson Beck?
It's been talked about. I think Carson Beck is a new Trey Sanders. Every year it's being talked about of him entering the portal. So
yeah, that's the new name. Carson Beck, but yeah, that's the back.
I mean, you got to expect some attrition at that quarterback position at Georgia. Well,
they lost Daniels.
Yep, and then they have Gunnar Stockton coming in, so they have another 5-star kid coming in this class. So I mean,
they've got Vandegrift on the bench.
Yep. Who a lot of people are saying is the next guy up there. So I mean, something's got to give there. They're not going to keep all those kids.
Yeah. Let's discuss this past recruiting weekend, D-Lou. We spent a lot of time with 2023 quarterback commit Chris Parson from Tennessee. He and his family drove all the way down here and came for a one-day visit. Full day, I can go ahead and tell you that it was a full day visit for sure. But he talked to us and said that was the best visit he's ever had. He felt like royalty, which I think that's what the feeling's going to be for a lot of these 2023 guys now being the full focused on. But Chris Parson seemed like he had a really great visit. They did a couple of videos. They did a photo shoot. The family came in.
Video, man. That video is tight.
Yeah, the video was tight. Had a few of these guys on there chatting. That wasn't planned either. That wasn't planned. I promise. I'll play the video. I'll play it on here in a second. But D-Lou, talk about his visit before I throw this cat. Well, Peter will come after me. I'm going to toss this cat to the ground before I get ticked off and throw it through a window. But let's talk about Chris Parson and his visit. Everything went well. And also had a lunch with Tokars, too. They went off to Hobbit our friends over there at Hobbit got some wings.
Yeah, like you said, Florida State blew it out of the water again with Chris Parson. But coming into this trip, this is a guy who is completely locked in his commitment. He's comfortable. He knows what he wants to do with his future, and that's to play quarterback at Florida State. And that's, all he's expressed to me for nearly the last 8 months while we've been building our relationship. But this visit, it was a chance for him to connect with Tony Tokars and Alex Atkins, two guys who just got promoted, Atkins to OC, Tokars a quarterback's coach. And from everything he said, from everything we heard around the facility, I mean, it just went extremely well. He's starting to develop a really close relationship with Tokars. I think maybe even more so than Dillingham as time goes on. And he did his fair share of recruiting too. We talked to 2023 wide receiver Tyler Williams, a cousin of Carlos Williams, who I'm sure some of you watching the show know quite a bit about since he was on here with us, and also is one of the best running backs in Florida State history. His brother, Vince Williams, one of the best linebackers in Florida State history. So a lot of family ties there for the younger Williams. But he told us afterwards that Chris Parson was recruiting him to commit to Florida State harder than the coaching staff. So this is a guy moving into his senior year. He's really stepping up into that leadership role, that bell cow of the 2023 class. And he's going after guys all over the country, offensive guys, defensive guys. He said recently that Atkins and Tokars and the coaching staff have been asking him about certain guys and what he thinks about them and if Florida State should pursue. So he's very involved in the recruiting efforts. He has a great relationship with Coach Norvell. He's building something special with Tokars and Atkins, and just really excited to see what he can do throughout his senior year, this offseason. It's going to be fun to follow Chris Parson and his journey. He should be, and just to end it off, he should be back in Tallahassee next month for another recruiting event that Florida State's holding.
I've got the video here we can watch real quick.
When you look at yourself 30 years from now, what do you want people to say?
Man, that kid could play.
Florida State, big-time commitment quarterback, Chris Parson.
I look at the jerseys around here. I look at the histories on these walls. There's so much greatness that's come through here before me, and I won't let them down.
Grew up an FSU fan. This is a dream come true for him.
2 minutes to go, tie game. You want the ball in your hands?
Absolutely. I'm not afraid to fail. That pressure, that moment, I live for that.
He's a guy that you get in here in the 2023 class. You have a leader now. He has a really bright future.
And Florida State, they've got to be excited about this one.
So what advice would you offer to other recruits in the class of 2023?
You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else.
I love that shit right there, dude.
Yeah, that quote right there was awesome.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, no, that was badass. And great
quote there. He got that yesterday in Florida State. They filmed it on Saturday, so the new guys they got over there in the media department putting some work in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Dilo, you mentioned Los. Los was there on Saturday. He called us and said, "Yo, I'm on the way."
Broke my ribs.
I know What'd he do? Hug you or tap
yeah? He walked
you?
up to me and hugged me.
Isn't that your first time meeting Los?
No, I've met Los before.
I thought that was your first time.
Remember, we went out to the bar. Remember, we all. Well, no, Dilo had left.
Yeah,
I met him at Kenny Shaw's camp.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, no, that was awesome seeing Los come in town. And man, they blew up on Twitter. The fans want Los on the sideline. Los said though he's trying to work his way in there. He's doing a lot of recruiting efforts around in his area, and he's doing a lot of training. But Los was there. Tyler Williams, kind of more of a quiet interview after his visit. But Parson told us, that's a guy that he's dialed in on, and he sees a lot with them. And they said that they rode the cart around campus together. And then once they had a spot to stop, Parson actually got out of his cart and joined Tyler's and kind of was chatting it up with him and kind of, got him into a comfort with them, and they started chatting it up.
I mean, I know he wasn't there this weekend, but Jaylen Brown and Tyler Williams are 1 and 2 in Florida for 2023 in a very deep wide receiver class in the state of Florida for this coming cycle. So Florida State could make a statement there with the top 2 kids in the state, which hasn't happened I don't know. I mean, Brandon Innes is up there too, but there's a lot of people think that Brown and Williams have a higher ceiling there. So,
yeah, and if Florida State was to come away with Brown, Williams, Santana, Fleming, and then you already have Vondravius Jacobs committed. That's a hell of a wide receiver class right there.
Absolutely.
Yep, another guy in attendance was Roderick Kearney. It was easy to spot him right away whenever he left the Moore, because that is a big boy right there. He's coming in, and he's had really, I think, one of the most impressive interviews talking about how real he really emphasized how real the staff was. Nate, you've talked with them, but he really emphasized after the interview. He said it multiple times.
Yeah,
and said, this staff is real with me. Coach Atkins' staff, and he said he had a good one-on-one talk with Norvell, and they just kept on saying how realistic he was, the good, the bad of coming into Florida State, and they're going to tell you the truth on things.
Yeah, there were a couple kids I've talked to. Like the same message has been like, if you want to come here, you better work. And it's also been the same comments about how the coaching staff is not going to sugarcoat things for you. They're going to tell you the positives and negatives and the things that you do well and the things that you got to get better at. And Kearney's someone that really appreciates that and understands that, a coaching staff that does that probably get you on campus is going to show you that tough love and that desire to make you a better person, both on and off the field. So, he's really digging Florida State right now. Going into the visit, Florida State was probably at the top, and this visit did nothing to change that. So,
what else can you say about Alex Atkins, man? That dude can recruit, simply put. We're seeing what he's doing at offensive line. Just imagine when he gets more involved with skill players now that he's moving up to offensive coordinator. I think you're going to see some nice results from Alex Atkins. He gets it done on the recruiting trail, and he's really developed a strong relationship with Kearney, like you both have mentioned, and I think that's a huge part in why Florida State is seemingly leading in this recruitment right now. He mentioned Atkins likes him inside at either guard or center if he stays his current size, but if he continues to grow, they can see him outside at tackle as well. So it's just going to depend on how he fills out that frame. And I remember the quote. He said, Atkins, he doesn't tell me what I want to hear. He tells me what I need to hear. So that realness, keeping it real with guys, telling them straight up how you feel about their game, which we know Atkins, that's really kind of his game plan, what he does, especially to some guys that are currently on the roster. Kanaya mentioned it today during his introductory press conference, and I think I've mentioned on here before. He's told me during interviews, but first time Atkins ever saw his film, he said that Kanaya sucked, basically, but they worked together. He took some tips that he learned from Atkins, and I mean, look at him now. He's an early enrollee, true freshman at Florida State, and he's probably going to play a big role in that offensive line in the future once he develops. So just, you've got to, whatever you do, Florida State, whatever you do, Mike Norvell, keep Alex Atkins in Tallahassee. Pay him whatever the hell he wants because he'll get it done.
There's got to be a GoFundMe created to try to add some extra pay over there for Atkins.
Yeah, and you're keeping on the O-line, Tommy Kinsler, another offensive lineman that was in town. Same kind of thing, keeping it real. Tell me what I did do well. Tells me what I got to get better at. Again, leaves the visit with Florida State at the top of his list. That's going to be a Florida State.
Florida and Florida State is kind of. He didn't say Florida State was at the top.
No.
Se. What?
No, he did.
No, not to me.
What did I miss?
I talked to him, so
I read your interview. I don't remember that being in there, buddy.
Some things you don't put in there.
What do I miss now?
Then why are we saying it?
Let's see what happens now. I believe Patrick's saying get Atkins a cigar NIL deal. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a great idea. I don't know if he's really too worried about NIL stuff, though. He might.
But he
just
did
smoke his
mention
good cigars.
Florida and Florida State standing out. Nate, I know you put in his article that he and his family kind of grew up as Gator fans.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only factor that worries me. You know, it could be a Jake Slaughter type of recruitment where if he commits to Florida State and then, bam, he's gone as soon as.
And he goes to a school that is, you know, primarily known for kids that go to Florida. So.
Yeah. Same high school, right? As Slaughter.
Same high school as Slaughter. But he's a good player, though, man. Kinzo's a good player.
Let's stick with it, though, Nate. Let's talk about Lucas Simmons, because this was one of the guys, frame-wise, size-wise, that really impressed me. He mentioned his interview afterwards, 6'7", 3/4, 283 pounds, I believe, heading into his senior year. So this is a guy, he's already got the height. He's going to be packed. He's got a really well-built frame. You can tell there's a lot of room for him to add more muscle, more strength as time goes on. I think he could probably get up to, he's 283. He could probably get up to around 320 and not really see much growth on that frame, I feel like, just because of how long he is and his wingspan and everything. Originally from Switzerland, so this is a national prospect that Florida State is after. And he also mentioned the coaching staff, sitting down talking to Coach Atkins. This was his first time really being at Florida State, speaking to the coaches like that. And the conversations just stood out to him. And he said right now, he didn't want to name a leader, but he said Florida State is pushing for him the hardest right now. That's a kid I like a lot.
That who just offered him? Well, you looked that up anyways, but yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, so international kid that is massive, dude. Like he 6'8" is just is huge, and he can probably look at 330 and look like he's 315. Like he's just that big of a dude. So you have 3 to 4 guys that FSU is already identifying that they like on the offensive line. So and that board's going to change, as the season progresses. But they've identified a handful of guys that they have a lot of interest in. So Simmons, you look at him and the way that Atkins can develop. You're looking at a guy that could explode in college. He's still newer to the game. Being an international kid, so he has. He's not 6'8" and slow. He's got great feet and has all the tools that you look at for a kid that big going into college. So.
And what about Dustin Adam Hopkins, a wide receiver who talked to us and said that also Florida State's very high up there, if not the top school. Really talented wide receiver, 6'1", 170. Also mentioned Texas A&M and Jimbo trying to jump in there into that recruitment big right now. But it seems like he's got a great relationship with Florida State. Kind of came for a little bit, hung out with some of the recruits and staff and talked with the staff, but, just felt, just another day coming into the more and being around Florida State in the program.
Yeah, like you said, he pretty much named Florida State his leader after this visit. And, man, that wide receiver board for the 2023 class is just so deep. There's so many guys that could eventually wind up committing to Florida State or could go elsewhere, just depend on how everything shakes out. But Hopkins, he's from right down the road in Thomasville, about 30 minutes away. He grew up a fan of Florida State. He's developed a pretty close relationship with Ron Dugans and Mike Norvell. Mentioned during the visit that Mike Norvell has been personally recruiting him to Tallahassee. And right now, Florida State, I think they're standing out. We'll see how those visits to Texas A&M and some of the other contenders go. But as long as they can keep prioritizing Hopkins and getting him back on campus, which won't be much of an issue with distance, there's a good chance that he eventually winds up in this class.
I'd be surprised if it ended up any other way.
And hopefully,
go ahead.
I was going to say, and hopefully, maybe Adam can convince his teammate Gabe Harris to come on back too.
And then you look at Lucas Simmons' teammate, 2024, Jason Zandamela, another foreign kid. He's from South Africa. played rugby growing up. He's 6'3", but he's got a 6'11" wingspan, which is ridiculous, you know? I mean...
He's a freshman.
He's a 2024 kid. Yep.
Wow.
So, I mean...
Freaks.
You know, he's another kid that was blown away from his visit, man. You know, first time getting on campus, and, you know, guys like Simmons and Zendemiller are, you know, being foreign, you know, they're still learning the game of football, and they're still learning like what recruiting is and all this kind of stuff. So those are two kids I expect to, you know, be a national this year and a national next year. So, you know, they'll be big time kids.
Yeah, that means that there's a ton of room in their game to grow with them just getting started in the sport right now and already showing the kind of potential that they have. So once they figure it out and they get a coach that can really instill in them, you know, the techniques that they need and get their bodies developed in a college strength and conditioning program, sky is the limit.
Yeah, 6'3" with a 6'11" wingspan is asinine.
Patrick's asking, are we recruiting Hopkins as a receiver or corner? Heard he could play either.
I think he's an athlete right now.
He mentioned that in an interview, didn't he, Dustin, when we were there?
Yeah, he did. He said receiver.
I think he's a kid you just figure out once you get to campus.
I know he plays both right now at the high school level, and he plays both ways at a pretty high level. So I think he could eventually, you know, switch positions at the next level if necessary. But from what he said, he wants to play receiver, and Florida State is recruiting him at receiver.
Okay. Cam Davis also there. I know it's a year ways, but 2024 running back commit Cam Davis, who I think is extremely talented, and you got to hold on to him as much as you can.
He's a beast.
Yeah, no, he has a lower voice than any of us on here, which is weird. When we've had him on the show too, and I was like, "What in the world is going on here? What is he eating?" But
whenever I get on the phone with Cam, I feel like I have to start speaking deeper. I have to be like, "Yeah, man, yeah, for sure." Like I gotta turn my voice up or down.
That's tough, man. Put it. It's tough, man.
It'll change, Dustin, when you hit puberty, dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
27 and still hasn't hit it.
When your balls drop, it'll.
Well, when I'm talking to a 16-year-old that sounds like a 45-year-old, I mean, what do you want me to do? He sounds like you, Nate. Actually, he's got a deeper voice than you. Put it like that.
Yeah, he does. I've talked to him before,
it's
too.
crazy. He's built like a grown-ass man. You know, already over 6 foot, probably in that 210 to 220 range. A lot of muscle on his frame for a guy that still has 2 years of high school football left.
He's built like Dalvin was.
He might be bigger than Dalvin by the time it's all said and done.
I think he's got a bigger base.
Yeah.
You know, I know people make fun of Dalvin Cook's legs all the time, you know.
Yeah, it seems to be
they're like Logan's.
Yes.
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, Pro Bowler, you know, I'm fine with that. Multi-million-dollar guy, you know. Shout out to Dalvin, too, going back to number 4 jersey. You happy, VZ? Another jersey for you to add to the collection, baby.
Just extremely happy. I cannot wait because 33 is an ugly number in the Vikings uniforms. Just the way the horns look, it's just not a good number.
Didn't he pick that number?
They're too horny.
Didn't he pick that for a reason?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at why he chose it. He should have gone with 24 because 24 looks good with the Vikings font. I don't know why he went 33. I'd have to go look.
Spradix asking.
No one cares what Logan said. Thinks. Move on.
Everybody cares. Everybody cares so much. Hey, Nate, I forgot to mention that. Well, you weren't here, but at the game, we texted you and said those 2 girls
I know
shouted out boneless buddies while we were there. And it ticked me off.
I was gonna bring it up, man.
Pissed me off.
You see the name change, man.
Yeah,
I can't see it right now. Oh.
There you go.
There you go.
We'll hide it again, though.
I have a. I've talked to one person about putting a graphic together.
Oh my goodness!
You think I'm joking? And
look good.
For like an hour and a half, I did like one of those Apple movie things like I did before.
Oh God, I don't know.
I don't like the way the one I have looks right now. So, but it's tremendous, dude.
Don't mute your mic, Dustin, when you're laughing. That adds extra good content.
I sound stupid because of how hard I'm laughing.
Just laughing his ass off in the
He's over there working. He's working on his own like motion picture.
He's building a campaign. Well, yeah, he's done this campaign. So
2022, by the end of 2022, Boneless Buddies is going to be a staple of this podcast. Like instead of NG, it's going to have like maybe underneath it, it's going to have
BP.
It's gonna no. It can be NG, but underneath it's going to be Boneless Buddies.
Well, you gotta provide. Hopefully, either Hobbit renews a sponsorship, or we gotta find some place with boneless. That's the only way that we can put it on the show and brand it.
We can even get Hobbit in because
Hobbit has great. I've never had. I can't say that they're pretty great. I almost went against myself there. But if I were to think Hobbit's got, they're probably have some good chicken nuggets with sauce on them.
Like boneless wings. Yeah. Why not talk about it?
True
delicacy.
But whoever those females are, I appreciate their early support. Those shirts will be out, and the goal is by the football season to see them at Doak Campbell.
Right. I love how you said those females. It is shocking that there are women. We have a lot of ladies follow. I was at the gym, and she follows the podcast too. I'm like, we've got some great lady listeners. So shout out to the ladies.
Other podcasts have their own tent at Doak Campbell during game day. We need to have our own tent.
We're gonna set up something,
and we will have merchandise featuring Boneless Buddies. This is going to happen.
Well, I'll be there for it as long as I can get some free food out of it. Sign me up. Spread XO is asking. Breakout transfer, I've got Jared Verse. I feel like that's like an easy answer, but I'm all in on Verse. Definitely after being able to sit back and interview him too. So Verse for me. There was another question on here. Oh, there's my camera. Hope everybody enjoys that. Patrick's asking, do y'all think the NIL can help Cam stay in Tallahassee instead of him possibly going pro in baseball? He's a really talented baseball guy too. I think he wants to play football though. I mean, both. Obviously, but
I think he wants to experience both in college. I think for him to consider baseball, he'd have to be like a day one, first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I think he's talented in baseball. I think football is his future.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about Cam, following his visit this past weekend, he talked to the media before he left for the day to head back home. Got a couple questions about his recruitment, said that he's locked in with Florida State. Nothing is going to change that. He was asked by someone, "What if Alabama offers?" And he just said, "No, sir," meaning nothing's going to change. And they were like, "What if the MLB comes calling?" No, sir. And he in the interview, he went on to say that he plans to play both football and baseball at Florida State, obviously, and we expect him to do that at a pretty high level. And just from everything this kid says, he doesn't really seem to be someone that's very interested in the recruiting process. It seems like he's made his decision, and he's going to stick to it unless there's some type of major change. Another guy that grew up a Florida State fan, got locked in early, and I talk about Chris Parson as a bell cow in this 2023 class. I think Cam Davis and Jordan Pride are going to be playing that role moving forward for 2024.
Can we talk about how nauseating it's going to be that every good player that's coming to the FSU is going to be compared to Travis Hunter and his recruitment, and come on,
your friend Dion.
Man, keep it PG there.
Here, Lance right here on the screen. He said, Prime says he wants Davis. What you going to do? LOL.
Laugh out loud.
Just like I will when people are like, Chris Parsons going to Jackson State. No, he's not.
Dustin's going to come fighting on that hill all day long.
So I already said, if Chris Parson decommits, I'll quit No Game Day and become the next greatest rapper on the scene. So be ready for that.
I was thinking
that you're gonna be the best Jackson State beat reporter.
Yeah, you're going to join Dion.
he will start his own Jackson State podcast.
Yeah, for a year at least.
Go Tigers.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
Oh my God. Don't get Nate riled up on this. Tonight's night, he's already had a hangover, or not a hangover, but
Well, I have a migraine hangover, yes.
okay. Well, see, look at that.
That's a real thing.
I was right on that.
I mean, and shout out to the staff for the idea of doing smaller, smaller groups. That stuff pays off, man.
Mm-hmm.
Almost to each recruit, they talked about either their family, like that aspect of having some more one-on-one time, or they liked it, the fact that they could have, a little bit more focused visit with the coaches. So,
yeah, like you said, there's probably about 25, 30 guys there, and just to not be overwhelmed with, hundreds of prospects from different classes rolling in and rolling out, it felt like Florida State was able to give each guy a good amount of their attention. You had the whole staff walking out to welcome in most of the guys as they arrived and everything. And just from a scheduling point, it seemed like everything went well. You had guys coming in, guys rolling out all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Chris Parson, if you guys want to go check that out, he just dropped his journal that he wrote with us on Sunday mornings. So you guys can go check out that. Great info there. A little bit behind the scenes of his visit, his recruitment, and he'll continue to do that. And he'll get more of him and his workouts and getting through the spring and obviously his senior season, which will be huge for him, but some really good insight there. And I think some people should just go read it for the last couple paragraphs there, detailing exactly what we were just talking about there, saying, I don't care what you're saying on social media, I'm 100% locked in. So I think people should go read that.
I should have trademarked the idea of a recruiting journal or whatever when I did that with Lonnie way back in the day.
You should have done. Now you've given it off to Dustin. I mean, look at this. Look what you've done, Nate.
Warchant tried it, and that was a bust because no one wants to talk to them. But
I didn't.
It's the path of it. It's true.
Yeah, I'm not. Chris Parson, I think, was rocking the NG shirt too. Didn't even plan any of that. Rocking the NG shirt during the majority.
I thought we were
going
to get in trouble. I was worried.
Wow, we haven't get.
They're going to come say, "No game day, get out of here." Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, no, rocking some NG merch during the visit. Definitely appreciate the family's awesome. So, yeah, great visit. There's maybe some quick mentions too before we move on real quick because we're kind of going through slowly here. But visits this upcoming weekend, D-Lou, starting on Saturday.
Yeah,
actually, you've got a visitor coming in tomorrow. 2022 defensive end Jack Pyburn, who we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Florida State's been involved. They haven't offered yet. He's coming off, I believe, an official visit to Auburn.
He's been to Miami and Auburn back to back.
Yeah. Yesterday he named a top two of those two schools, Miami and Auburn. But regardless, I reached out. I was seeing if Florida State still has a shot. This morning he confirmed that he'll be at Florida State on Friday around 1:00 for a visit. He's going to come in, meet with the coaching staff, probably, get measured and everything, get his size. And then he's going to watch a tour of duty workout as well. So we'll see if that materializes into an offer from Florida State. At the very least, they're kicking the tires to get him on campus to see if he is a possible take. And from his tweet, I think he's committing on either the 28th or the 29th. So Florida State, if they do offer, they could potentially have the last visit in this recruitment. Mm-hmm. But other than that, on Saturday, so far, you'll have 2023 defensive lineman Darren Reed and 2023 offensive tackle Kelton Smith in Tallahassee. Both of those guys, who I'm sure most people know, went to Carver High School. They were teammates of Elijah Pritchett. I'm sure that name rings a bell. Pritchett obviously committed to Alabama over Florida State, even though Florida State put in a heck of a battle in that recruitment. But regardless, now we're moving on to the next class. And Reed and Smith are probably two of the top targets at their respective positions on the board. I think Florida State likes them both a lot, and really interested to hear what they both have to say this weekend. Reed in particular has been to Florida State many times, and he visited during the season for a couple games, actually watched Florida State play up in Clemson when he was on a visit in Death Valley. And this is a kid that has developed a special relationship with Odell Higgins.
Sweet deal. So good another weekend ahead for Florida State and recruiting.
Yeah, I don't have the docket, but what was Ryan Bartow being out and about recruiting? Was that on there?
Didn't have that on there, but I know that's been a big discussion all over the social medias and the discords.
Has it? It's been kind of squashed. I mean, it's not as it's not as juicy or interesting as anyone is trying to make it out to be.
It's not the Marv dealio, I think. It's not the Marv vibe, I feel like. But FSU Twitter will make it to be that way, absolutely.
Oh, FSU fans on Twitter will make a trash bag controversial
because they want that change so badly that any little hint of anything would.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nate, but just like the same thing with Marv, people instantly caught wind of him being pulled off the trail and were like, "Oh, he got fired," or whatever, and then he ended up going to Virginia Tech. So I get it. You see those little whispers, you want to follow it and see what it turns into, but I think this one's a bunch of nothing.
Let's discuss VZ's biting at the bit to get to this Duke game and talk about it. He is fucking just sweating over there. We got to get to this as soon as possible. But before we do that,
can I mention that I think it was VZ that laughed out loud on our.
No. I want to get this right because you said the final score was going to be like 86-3. Like you usually talk about Miami.
In our chat, I said 76-71 FSU.
That was fine. I didn't laugh at that one. I laughed at your first one, which was it was legitimately like 86-24 or something stupid.
Duke?
No, Florida State.
No, Florida State. I was off a little bit on that one.
No, just a tad.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
There was some Florida State players that had some interviews. I thought just to mention here, Aaron Hester, who I think is already a pretty impressive guy coming in as a true freshman, early enrollee. He mentioned in an interview today with the media saying that he's already put on 10 pounds since arriving. It's only been a few weeks, but he's put on 10 pounds, which a guy who's already coming in with some good size, like I mentioned.
James Storm sucks, though.
Yeah, Coach Storms is awful, right? He just really, really sucks just because Toa Philly hasn't put on 40 pounds. Coach Storms sucks. And Storms, if you're listening to this, you don't actually
come on the podcast.
And then we do want you on the pod so then we can answer these fans out there that are.
I need a weightlifting plan, Coach.
Yeah, we're gonna give Dustin a plan. I think
what would be right.
I think what would be great content. What would be great content, Nate, is have me go there. I build my legs with Coach Storms, with Coleman there, also Lanier Coleman, and then Dustin gets a workout plan where his is just getting in shape, conditioning, and one day of tour duty.
The anti-gravity treadmill because man, my knees.
Anti-gravity.
Things are shot.
Supposedly that thing is tremendous.
Put me in, Coach.
Anti-gravity treadmill. Apparently, the thing is just never experienced one, but apparently those things are tremendous.
We're going to get to this question here in a minute because we've definitely got this docket here. Don't worry. We're going to get to the Miami offensive coordinator discussion here in just a minute. But let's go over. Purdy ends up picking Nebraska. Nebraska over there had visited Pittsburgh also. Along with Oklahoma, we got to see pictures of he and his family with Venables there, the new head coach with the Sooners from Clemson. But he ends up picking Nebraska. I know that you had a relationship there, Nate, with Purdy.
Yeah, I'm happy for the kid. That he, is able to land on his feet at another Power 5 conference school. For him, it just didn't work out. We've talked about. I'm not going to put the business out there. We've talked about it, amongst ourselves. Sometimes things don't work out, and sometimes a change of scenery can be the thing that makes it all come together. So, it's not about ability with Chubba. The time that we saw him play, I don't think he looked bad at all. So Scott Frost has done pretty good with quarterbacks. So that'll be one I pay attention to. So Chubb and I exchanged a couple text messages when he committed. He holds no will to FSU. It's a business decision. So, I wish he could have a lot of luck. So,
another quick hitter here, Jordan Eubanks, Florida State linebacker. He entered the transfer portal last month. Was it last month? I think it was late December.
I think it was like mid-late December. He entered the portal.
Okay. But he entered transfer portal, and he announced today that he's transferring over to University of Nevada over in Las Vegas. So best of luck to him over there. This question coming from Patrick earlier, asking Dustin if he had turned down the offensive coordinator position to join Mario Cristobal's staff. Any word on that, Dustin? Maybe that's why you've been silent a little bit the last week or so with us, maybe. But
you just don't pay me enough, man. So at this point, I'm looking for side work. I'm looking for anything I can get to try and pay these bills because, man, it's an issue.
You're about to become a rapper, so I mean,
so the real question is,
I hope not.
I know, I hope not. Sorry, I just reversed that backwards.
So
don't say that.
If Chris Parson's watching, maybe he needs to go ahead and address on Twitter. Is Dustin recruiting him silently to Miami?
We can go together. I mean, it's a
whoa.
It's a two-way deal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured out though. So the timeline matches. Tate Martell retires from football, and when that OC job
business venture.
Yeah. How do you retire from playing a total of like 7 minutes of college football?
He needed one less drop of clout.
Then I retired. I retired in high school. Then we all retired at that take. But yeah, Kendal Briles turns down. Seemed like the second time in a row said no, and no.
Why would he leave? Why would he leave Arkansas? Who seems like their upward trajectory is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you have to live in Arkansas.
Yeah, and they have some.
That's a good point.
They have some talent coming back next year, and Pittman's one of the better coaches in the country. Mario Cristobal, who is a good recruiter, but is still highly questionable. Him as a coach. So I think it would be like Willie Taggart Part 2 for Kendal Briles. Why would he put himself in that situation again?
I will say though, I respect Mario Cristobal's approach. Just because he gave him Midget the offensive line coach job, he's done a really good job down there.
What'd you say? The what?
Their offensive line coach is a midget.
He's 4'3". So
I just respect his ability to go outside the box and.
So it makes sense, coaches. Dustin, to go after that Tate Martell is going to be the offensive coordinator.
No, they're going to have to put him at defensive coordinator because no one would expect it.
Don't you find it interesting though that Miami and all their infinite bottomless dollars that they now supposedly have,
that's kind of disappeared.
Are weeks away from spring practice and don't have an offensive or defensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
Also, DB coach too, right?
Yeah. You want your top
Alabama.
defensive assistant going to Alabama.
Yeah, they're the one that they all genuflected about when they landed him, talking about how Dade County's on lockdown, blah 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 blah. The same bullshit.
Yeah, he left less than a year later.
Yeah, Nick Saban comes calling, and it's like, okay, I'm out, deuces. So
yeah,
the longer that goes on, the better.
Yeah,
maybe Mario Cristobal is not a desired head coach to coach with. Maybe some of that is just becoming a reality.
Benjamin's coming up with a great idea here on YouTube. Why not make Slick Willie as offensive coordinator?
He's running out of options.
Personally,
He might just have to. Bring in Pimp.
Yeah, bring in Pimp.
He'll impact your program.
I mean, Pimpleton's already down there now. He's already down there at FAU. It'd be a quick, easy move over for him.
Yeah.
Just Uber.
Yeah. Tough scenes down there in Coral Gables. I wish them the best of luck. Just not a really good last couple of days for them on the social medias. And I put in here, Akers is back, bitches. Sorry for my language, but that was in the docket. And I just said what I saw and wrote earlier. But Akers is back. Not going to take any away from Buda Baker and getting ran. Now that he's good, he's fine. Everything's good. And
don't put your head down.
But he got ran up over.
Don't put your head down.
He got ran up over. I mean, does Akers look faster to you guys or something? I don't know.
I just think that he's fresh. A lot of these guys
looks like the season just started.
A lot of these guys are 17, 18 weeks into the season. That is going to be a very interesting thing to watch with the Ram offense. That you have Cam Akers, who, by all accounts, was going to take the next step this season and have a great second year. He's fresh for the playoffs, and he looks like he's had no injury. But
wild, man.
He had 40 yards of rushing that were called back because of penalties. He had 2 or 3 long runs that were called back because of holes or whatever. He looked tremendous, man. Like, he looked really good, and I love to see it because that kid deserves it. He deserves everything that he can possibly get.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it before, man. Cam Akers is a medical miracle. To tear your Achilles in July, and to be back playing professional football in the middle of January.
6 months later.
Not even 6 months. I mean, it's just unheard of the way that he recovered and rehabbed and is now back healthy enough to be able to play pro football. I mean, shit, most guys are just starting to get back on the field at this point and starting to cut again and everything. And he's over there running people over.
Durant was out for a year?
Mm-hmm. Those are basketball sissies, though. Yep. Sorry, Austin.
No, but I don't think we got the full story. I still think it was either a partial tear or there's
it had to be a partial
there's
tear.
No way it was a full tear like it was with Durant's. Like, there's just no way to come back in 6 months. There's just no way.
Still.
I mean, it's still amazing. I'm not discrediting Cam at all. There's no way. There's no way that it was a full tear back in 6 months.
See those videos of the mic'd up players that even guys who are great athletes in of themselves, freaking dog. Great athletes that are just amazed by what he's done. So I'm rooting for the Rams. So I want to see Cam. Do something big, man. I want to see him do something big.
And J-Ram.
The biggest part of it to me is you can see the speed, you can see the acceleration, you can see the cutting. But for him to have torn that Achilles 6 months ago and now back having the mental confidence to be able to play like that, trust his body like that. I mean, like I said before, it's just otherworldly, honestly. I haven't seen anything like this in a minute. I thought it was crazy whenever Adrian Peterson came back a couple years ago in like 9 months from the ACL. People thought that was insane. But less than 6 months from an Achilles.
It was NFL MVP,
Yeah.
NFL MVP 2,000
it's unheard of.
Literally carried that team to the playoffs because, no offense, but Christian Ponder didn't play that well quarterback that year.
He's another alien, AP, so.
Yeah. But yeah, Jalen Ramsey too. The Rams look like they're a solid team. I always thought Stafford was a really talented quarterback. Just need to leave Detroit. Any player needs to leave Detroit as soon as possible. But he went kind of through a slump there in midseason, into the late half. But I think that chemistry now with OBJ clicking can only help. And they've got some 2 stud running backs with Cam Akers and Sony Michel right now. So they're and defense. I mean, if you got things going and clicking on the offensive side of things, the defense is going to take care of itself. So
Rams by double digits this weekend.
The defense.
Brady. I don't give a
You know,
I know there's a lot of Bucks fans in here, but
down here in the
you already got one.
Down here in the Tampa area, man. You know, everyone was pumping their chest and being all happy.
Yeah,
with the way that the defense played last year in that playoff run. When I told them, you got to watch the Rams and their defense, man. That's a difference maker in the playoffs. As long as Matt Stafford doesn't make a stupid mistake, that's going to be a really competitive game.
Mm-hmm. Jameis also recovery-wise, man, there was a video that his trainer released of him, getting back into the groove of actually doing some dropbacks in the facility where he was doing his rehab, and it looks good. It's crazy how the development is, but I mean, this trainer had past previous time working with Drew Brees, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
Oh my God.
What?
I thought of Terrell Buckley. Out of nowhere, so I combined both of them together and just completely blew up my brain.
I was like,
no, you should have seen my eyes. I was like, oh no, I'm about to screw up. I'm about to say something stupid here. Charles Buckley. Yeah, Charles Barkley and a whole lot of other.
All right, time to talk basketball. Names. Okay, Austin, your turn.
Yeah, I know. His face is getting as close as he can now to the webcam. And it's time to let him loose. You got to go through the Syracuse. I know that we can't walk over the Syracuse one. You have to make that one quick because people are here for the Duke.
Let's just save the best for last because UNF's going to take 10 seconds. UNF got hot from 3 because Florida State was tired. Florida State turned it over too many times, but you still walk out of there with an 86-73 win. Really, the only thing that came out of it was me and Tomahawk Nation apparently having beef now. So it is what it is.
Whoa.
But now we can't just go right over that.
Someone tweeted from their page that, Florida State didn't win by 23. They only won by 13. This is a bad win. So I get where they're coming from with the NCAA's evaluation tool, aka net. There is a margin of victory factor and there is an efficiency factor. The margin of victory factor caps out at 10. The big thing is the efficiency. And because UNF shot so well from 3 and Florida State turned it over so many times against a really bad UNF team. UNF came into this game 4-14. I'm ignoring that comment.
Sorry. Someone to comment. Sorry, Austin. Someone to comment.
No,
man, Dustin's background is looking like a real third world country. Dustin lives in Haiti. Sorry, go ahead.
Because Florida State didn't play well and there was certain stats that didn't look great, that's going to hurt them more than the actual result than winning by 13. And, I called him out for it, and Logan's muted, so I don't know what he's trying to say.
Sorry. So we're going after crazy nerdy stat shit? Is that what we're doing?
It's real nerd basketball stuff. That's
which you do have your nerd stuff too.
And then they started subtweeting me, so it is what it is.
They subtweet. We didn't even hear about this, man. Nothing in the group chat. You were just taking it solo dolo like that.
What they say?
Get your damn camera on, sissy.
I'm in Haiti.
You're in Haiti. Damn, that's where you've been this whole time. Put on your webcam, and we didn't even see the subtweeting going on. We love that kind of stuff. It's fun.
So someone, I won't say who. It's probably pretty simple to figure out. They said if someone is telling you margin of victory doesn't matter, they don't understand how teams are selected for the NCAA tournament. We'll just leave that there.
Hey, I trust VZ.
Margin of I did not say margin of victory does not matter. That is not what I'm saying at all. So and so is implying. Once you get above that 10-point margin, it matters very, very, very little. It's such a minuscule difference. The difference between 13 and 35. A win is a win. They're complaining about 13-point win on 36 hours of rest. This was going to happen. If you didn't see that coming, it was I don't know what you want, honestly.
This is your perfect, college football trap game. Short turnaround in between Duke and Miami.
Dramatic.
Emotional game.
At 12 o'clock on a Thursday.
Emotionally, physically taxing game Tuesday night. Goes in overtime.
We're leaving there. The guys aren't leaving till probably midnight. What are we doing?
Yeah, but by the time they get showered, do media.
Oh yeah, the game ended at 11:30. They got interviews. They got a shower, do everything.
They're not getting out there till 12:15, 12:30. I know that firsthand.
D-Lou.
About an hour to get everything cleaned up.
Yeah.
What'd you say
Right.
yeah to me for?
Because VZ was backing me up there.
I wasn't saying anything about that. I was saying it was crazy to me that they even had the spread at minus 22.5. I flipped it up and saw that, and I was like, do you pay attention to college basketball?
I saw that, and I'm like, if I was a betting man, I'm absolutely taking UNF plus 22. Not because I think they're going to win, but there was no reasonable expectation for Florida State to win by 20, no matter who they're playing.
And it would have been a 20-point game if UNF's 3-point shooting today hadn't been unsustainable.
They shot 58%. Granted, they were down their two best scorers, but two of their worst shooters. Jose Placer, or however you say his last name, I keep forgetting. He was only shooting 28% from 3 on the season. Then Carter Hendrickson, who's a pretty good player, was only shooting 31%. So that opens up for, what the heck is his name? Hicklin, who is already a 39% 3-point shooter. Now he's got a full green light because he has no one in front of him, and he just goes crazy. And he was hitting tough shots. I mean, he was having bodies fly at him a couple of times. There was a couple of times Florida State over-rotated and then didn't rotate enough. You know, there's some of that, like there was in the Duke game, which we'll talk about after Syracuse. There's some of that, but, you know, I expected Florida State to have dead legs. I think everyone did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm even worried about
Not to mention being focused on Saturday.
Yeah, which, again, we'll talk about here in a minute. Going into the Duke game, you go up to Syracuse. You know, they land up in New York, and it's 5 degrees. Then you find out Malik Osborne's not playing. He's in a boot in street clothes. And you're like, oh, boy. Here we go. It's about a second Syracuse loss is coming, which would be a bad loss, another bad loss, because Syracuse hasn't been that great this season. I think they're 10-9 right now. I'd have to go back and double check, but you walk out of there with a win in the Carrier Dome, which is not easy to do if you followed Florida State and Syracuse's history. Caleb Mills was eating the zone alive, 19 points on just 9 shots. Raekwon Evans was great, 15 points. And then Wyatt Wilkes showed up for the first time all season. 11 points, hit 3 threes. And Florida State just shot the lights out in that game. They shot 60%, 12 of 20 on threes, which is absolutely an anomaly for this team. I think it's fair to say they're not a good 3-point shooting team right now. But they needed that kind of performance because they only won by 5. It took every single basket to get that win, and they got what they needed in a win in the Carrier Dome to set up a huge matchup against Duke.
Yep. That was huge. That was a big one. Adds on to all the ACC. I mean, now you're fighting. Well, we'll talk about it, but now it really puts you up there on the top of the ACC.
Yeah, and to get 3 straight wins, you know, going in the Duke game, you have some confidence. You know, you just saw Miami beat Duke, you know, a couple weeks ago. So you have confidence that, hey, we can go beat this team. And that sets up the stage Tuesday night. Number 6 Duke comes into Tallahassee. For a while there in the second half especially, it looked like Florida State was going to run away with it. You know, the first half was very back and forth. Duke went into the locker room, I think, up 5 at the break because Florida State had a meltdown the last minute, 30 seconds of the half. You know, you entered that Wake Forest Duke game territory, which I don't know if anyone else watched that game, but it was the exact same kind of game. First half was very back and forth. Duke goes on a big stretch right before halftime. Then coming out of the break, Duke just lit it up from 3, and before you know, it's a 20-point game instead of 6. Florida State comes out of the locker room, and they're the ones that set the tone, especially defensively. And on the offensive glass, you know, you had that sequence where Naheem had 4 offensive rebounds on the same play. It set the tone for the rest of that half. Florida State took it huge lead in that game. And I think they were up 59-50 with like 6-7 minutes left. Then Duke goes zone, which they should have done a lot sooner because Florida State was doing pretty well against their man defense. They go zone. Florida State only makes 1 field goal the rest of the way while they're in zone. Duke comes back, takes a lead at one point. Everyone's starting to think, oh, God, here we go. Florida State collapsing. How is this team going to respond? Then Coach K outsmarts himself on the timeout. You know, Florida State calls a timeout with, I forget what it was, 11 seconds left. They go back to man-to-man defense. Raekwon Evans gets the switch against potential number 1 pick Paolo Banchero and finishes with the craziest layup finish that you can see over the top of both him and Mark Williams, who had 3 blocks. And if you go back to the game before that, Mark Williams had 8 blocks against NC State. So incredibly tough finish from a guy that's really played well the last couple of weeks.
That was awesome. Just it's kind of like the storyline for him this season, but for him to hit that and the place going wild out, at least from us being able to be there, that environment was absolutely wild. I mean, it was loud. The student section was roaring and everything, but man, the other side of the bowl too, where we were sitting, D-Lou, I mean, that place was all on their feet. I mean, just screaming and screaming. The environment was awesome. But go ahead. I just kind of wanted to give a feeling for people that were inside of the Tuck.
Now, then you get to overtime, and it's all Caleb Mills. Florida State had 12 points in overtime, and 8 of them were Mills. I tweeted the video of the three-pointer he hit with a minute left. That's as confident of a shot as you will ever see a player take and make. You know, he was 4 of 16 from the field entering that shot. You know, a minute left. Duke had just made a basket to go up to. He steps into a 3 in transition, nails it. You go up, what was it, 77, 76, I believe. Just
something like that.
The guts on that shot are impressive. He was phenomenal in that overtime sequence. He wasn't great throughout the stretch of the game. And, you know, it's just one of those guys that he has the confidence to take that shot, and the staff has the confidence in him. He had really struggled all game, especially with layups. You know, he was getting there with ease, just wasn't finishing. Really, as a team, Florida State wasn't finishing at the rim. I think they were 9 of 19 on layups. You know, if you make half of those misses, Florida State wins by 10. It was just one of those games that Florida State had to do all the dirty work. You know, they had 19 offensive rebounds, the most Duke has given up in almost 6 years. They turned Duke over 15 times and only had 5 themselves. You know, Duke came into the game as one of the 10 best teams in the country, taking care of the ball. You know, if you're going to miss 46 shots, I think it was, if you're going to grab 19 offensive rebounds, and that's a 40% offensive rebound, right? You're going to turn Duke over on 22% of their possessions. It's a good way to win. There's still things they got to work on, especially zone offense, like we saw today against UNF. Still got to get better at that. Got to hit the 3 better. They were 4 of 9 in the first half against Duke, but then just 1 of 12 in the second half. There's still things they got to improve on, but now you're looking at a team after this UNF game that's won 5 straight games, 4 in a row in the conference, and then now sets up a date against Miami on Saturday for first place in the ACC. For a team that we were talking about not even a month ago, saying they got issues to figure out, it's a quick turnaround. It's a really, really quick turnaround. They're really starting to grow up.
So remember what you said, right? Sorry to interrupt, Nate. But at the beginning of the season, you were like, at the end of January, we'll know what this team is. And here we are on the cusp of a 6-game winning streak, and heck, who knows, possibly a top 25 spot on Monday when the rankings come out.
And here's the thing. If you beat Miami on Saturday, the schedule really eases up. You know, you go to Georgia Tech on Wednesday, who's one of the 3 worst teams in the conference. You get Virginia Tech at home, who's an analytical darling, but they suck. I don't understand why they're top 40 in both KenPom and net rankings. You go at Clemson, who just lost to Boston College at home. And you get Wake Forest at home, who's due one from us, and then you get Pitt at home. That's your next 5 games after Miami. So if you beat Miami on Saturday, you have a chance to really, really set the tone for the rest of conference play. Coach Hamilton had been saying we'll find out what this team is in February. I'd been saying, as Dustin mentioned, we'll find out at the end of January. Here we are, January 20th. We're starting to figure out this team. But Saturday's going to be a tough test. You know.
So you think Miami comes out in zone?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they're not playing zone. Especially because they have depth issues. You know, zone really helps those kind of teams because they don't have to do as much on defense. I'd be shocked if they don't come out in zone. And Florida State's going to try and limit the pace again, like they did last week in that game. 62 possessions in that game, tied a season low for Miami. And it's a big reason why they lost that game. Then you look at this last game that Miami played against North Carolina, where they beat the living crap out of North Carolina, 85-57. They're coming in wanting something to improve against Florida State. They want that game back. And both teams need the win because as bad as the ACC is, there's not a lot of chances to gain quality wins. This is a Q1 chance for Florida State, the second of the week. And after this, there's only 3 more in the season. So I'm not going to say it's a must win, but it's kind of a must win.
Time to ride. Yeah, it's time to ride, baby. Well, the women's team just lost to Miami 59-52. So maybe Florida State, the men's can.
Yeah, hopefully it's a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Women's team losing so men's team can win.
That's messed up, VZ. Curtis is in here saying that people need to talk about FSU hoops more, but this is why VZ's here.
This is why I write 1,400 word previews for 40 people to read them.
Yeah. Well, Curtis might be one of those readers right there.
I hope he is.
Tell him to stick around.
I think I talk more about Florida State basketball than anyone else, especially on Twitter.
Hey, Austin, I give you a click. I don't read it, but I give you a click just to open it up. So
read it.
Just to pad your numbers for you.
And real quick, we briefly mentioned Florida State in overtime against Duke, but that was their 13th consecutive overtime win, extending their NCAA record that they set against Boston University. I did the math. If you enter in overtime, right, it's basically just a 50-50 chance you win. So to have a 50-50 chance in 13 straight games and win is about, let's just say it's less than 100th of a 1% chance that happens, winning 13 straight overtime games.
Well, and some of them, looking back on it, have been quite insane.
I created a YouTube video, which you can go to my Twitter and check out, of one clip from every game. You know, some more dramatic than others. Like, you know, you had Fiondu's game-winning 3 against LSU. You had Terrence Mann's ridiculous falling sideways, hits every part of the rim and the backboard against Virginia Tech. But then you had the games like, you know, Wake Forest last year where, you know, Scotty Barnes leaks out of the pack and you're up 7. You have the game against Miami in 2018 where you end up winning that game by 10. But it just shows Florida State's ridiculous in overtime.
Why is that?
Some of it is, you know, a lot of these games have been at home. You know, I think 9 of them were at home. 9 or 10 of them were at home. And the Tucker Center's, as we know, is a notoriously tough place to play. 84 wins in the last 89 games. Part of it's Florida State uses their depth. So once guys get into overtime, they still have fresh legs. Whereas like Duke, they only played 6-7 guys, especially once Trevor Keels went down. That's part of it. And part of it is these guys really know how to, what's the right word? They're gritty and they know how to contain themselves for 5 minutes. They know how to bottle up all that excitement and adrenaline and produce it on the court. Now, it hasn't always been easy.
For a younger team, too. I mean, for a very young team. Very young team.
Look at the Boston U game. I mean,
that's extremely impressive.
The Boston U, they should have lost, honestly. But Cleveland saved them on a tip in. And, you know, you're going to take that win 10 times out of 10. Just an incredibly impressive streak.
Especially with the way that, you know, Banchero, however you say his last name, was starting to come on at the end of that second half. You know, I kind of thought he was going to carry him over into overtime.
It was so funny listening to the commentary of that game because I really like Corey Alexander as an announcer. And he kept, for the first 15 minutes of that second half, you know, Banchero didn't have a shot attempt. And he's like, oh, wow, you know, they're not getting Banchero the ball. It wasn't that. Florida State was taking him out of the game. You know, with the way Florida State plays defense, they're fronting the post and they have weak side help over the top in case they try and force that pass. Banchero had no idea what to do against that. And really, as a team, Duke has never played a team that has that kind of ball pressure. You saw that time Banchero brought it up in the first half, brought it up the court. And, you know, Cam Fletcher was all over him. They somehow get the timeout, which people were upset about instead of it being the jump ball. 9 times out of 10, the ref's going to call that a timeout, even if the player maybe doesn't have the ball. It's the way that happens. I thought overall the officiating crew was really good. I thought they called a really great game, which I'm saying that about an ACC crew. I can't believe I'm saying that. I just thought it was a really, 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 really damn good basketball game. One that hopefully is the turning point in this season, because they still have to play at Duke. They still have to play at Carolina, still have to play, you know, at Virginia, at Clemson, at Miami this Saturday. They still have some games they got to win, and they're still, you know, on the bubble of that tournament. I know you still have
at Virginia, at Carolina. Sorry, don't seem like those are
Virginia's not. Virginia's nothing
as you expected entering the season.
I mean, you can go back to my ACC preview. I didn't think Virginia was going to be that good. I think I predicted them to finish 7th, and even that I was like, I'm only putting them this high because of what Tony Bennett. He's earned that respect where I'm not going to predict him to finish lower than 6th or 7th, and then Miami's just come out of nowhere. Basically, you just flip those two in my preview, and then Carolina's they're so hot and cold. I mean, when they're clicking, they're a really, really good basketball team, but there's things holding them back. Like Caleb Love's still not that efficient. And when they get punched in the mouth early, they start soaking, they start dropping their head. It's bad body language, and you really saw it against the Miami game where they just quit. They just wanted to get out of South Beach as fast as possible. So maybe that changes when you're playing in Dean Dome, which is in a really tough place for Florida State historically. We'll see when we get there in a month because that game's about a month away. So still a lot of basketball to be played before we get there, and a lot of time for these teams to grow and improve and find ways to get better. But right now the ACC is only looking like a 3-bid team in the NCAA tournament, maybe 4. It's a really, really bad year for the conference, and it's been that way the last 3 or 4 years, honestly. So the Florida State has to take advantage and really win some games down the stretch. If you go back to the 18-19 season, which was my last year with the team, Florida State started 1-4 in conference play. They were battling injuries. But it's the year you lose at home to Duke because of the Cam Reddish brothers beat her. Then you lose at Boston College. You lose, I think it was at Pitt as well. They start that poorly in conference play, but then they only lose one conference game the rest of the year. I think they finished 15-5 in conference. It's possible. Florida State's done it, and pretty recently. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it's health, which Florida State's dealing with. Malik Osborne's was out today against UNF. We'll see what he does on Saturday against Miami. I think he's going to play, kind of like with Duke. They're going to say he's doubtful going in, that he's going to play 30 minutes. And then you probably sit him next week at Georgia Tech. You got Tenor Ingon back today. I guess technically Tuesday night against Duke. Granted, he only played 90 seconds, and he looked pretty rusty, as you would expect. Cam Fletcher's been dealing with nagging injury after nagging injury, but it seems like they're starting to finally get healthy, which they need. They really, really need it.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I'm dialed in. I watched the UNF game today, so I'm officially dialed in.
I took the day off of work to watch the UNF game, so.
So you're already dialed, but you're extremely dialed in right now.
Sadly,
I can hear the way more excitement now in VZ's voice than how it was.
I was depressed a month ago.
It was tough because we were giving you a hard time too.
Quit the podcast, man.
I'm just sitting there wondering, man, what bad thing is about to happen to FSU football?
Yeah, what's up next?
We got a 5-game winning streak in basketball.
What's going to happen?
About to happen.
I don't know if you saw, but they gave the game ball to Alfred after the Duke game.
Oh wow!
He was in the locker room. Gave him the game ball. I thought that was pretty cool. Hopefully he returns the favor and gives us a new practice facility.
No, you got to wait in line. I think
we'll get to you.
Football first, man.
We'll get to you.
You're on the list.
I know we're like 8th on the list.
It should be football first, women's soccer,
okay,
women's softball.
Well, I mean,
basketball.
I think they're great programs.
Phenomenal.
When men's basketball is rolling, not only is there a different kind of buzz in Tallahassee, like you could see in that student section, like there's a buzz.
Well, they should have won
every single night.
They should have won the title in 2020.
It's called alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, that is true. Dustin was drinking a lot of alcohol.
They should have won they should have won in 2020, dude.
They should have. And as with any men's basketball program, when your team has success, it's one of the few money-making sports in college.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to get attention because when you have a good program, it's good for the entire university. And especially one led by Coach Hamilton, who's such a great figure, such a great role model, such a great man. We've seen it the last week after his mentor at Kentucky passed away, Joe B. Hall. There's been so many articles that I've read this week talking about their relationship, how the impact Coach Hamilton had on the University of Kentucky, and the impact Coach Hall had on him. And he's carrying that now. He's still one of those elder statesman coaches, but he has such an impact on young players and knows how to develop them, not only as players, but as men. And I think
he just doesn't panic, man. Like
he doesn't.
He's just
and
spreads it out.
Cold.
Rise it out.
No one's gonna
The highs
credit him
and the
for
lows.
no one's gonna credit him for the Duke game because Coach K outsmarted himself twice. Not only going man on the last possession of regulation and then not calling timeout on that final play in overtime where no one touched the ball except Wendell Moore and he's driving on John Butler. That was terrible. I don't know what they were thinking there. But they came up with a great game plan. And a lot of his adjustments throughout the game were really good. People are going to point to Florida State not scoring against the zone. It's been a theme all season, really. They're working on it. I can tell you that. They're definitely working on it. They look better today. Granted, UNF's nowhere near the same caliber of athleticism that Duke is. But they're getting there. And in overtime, they started finding ways to attack the zone, get to the free throw line, which is big. They're finally starting to hit their free throws for the most part, except Cleveland. But really, Caleb Mills has been playing well. Evans has been playing well.
I don't understand it. You're a 5-star
Every
gifted basketball player. You can't hit a damn free throw.
For this game, for the Duke game, it was all about the moment. You could tell he was anxious all game. He was rowdy, a little bit reckless at times, playing out of control. You could tell he was just rushing things. I think it was big. I think Worley hit his free throws. I thought that was big because you saw him be antsy in the Miami game. So to come back against a better opponent and knock down those, I thought that was big for his development and his confidence. Cleveland's going to get there. I like his technique. It's a little flat, but it'll get there. He just needs more reps. That's really all it is. He needs to be more confident in himself. He'll get there. He was 3 of 3 or 3 of 4 from the line today. Let me check. I think it was 3 of 4 against UNF. Oh, no, sorry. 5 of 9. Never mind. Sorry. He got down the line more than I thought.
Patrick's asking, what's your thoughts on FSU fans storming the court? FSU's made it to 3 straight 16. Sweet 16.
The only reason they did it, and they wouldn't do it for any other opponent. Even Carolina, they wouldn't have done it. This was only because of the 2019 game when Cam Reddish hit that buzzer beater, because the fans were ready for that game. They were ready to storm the court. Like, we all knew it as working for the team. Because at that point, Florida State hadn't made themselves the name they are now. Like, now you've made 3 straight Sweet 16s. Maybe that's not the expectation. 2 years ago, you were just coming off your first Sweet 16. Or I guess 3 years ago. I've been out of college a long time.
Getting old.
I am. I feel old.
Damn.
But 3 years ago, like, that's all it was. It was payback for that. It wouldn't happen against any other team.
It's also an emotional game.
It was a really emotional game. That paid off a lot of what was set up. Not only 3 years ago in that game, but the ACC championship that year, the following year, where Phil Cove and Brian Angola both had 20 points plus, but Marvin Bagley went berserk with like 35 and 22. Then again, following year, Cam Reddish hits the buzzer beater. Year after that, and Cameron Indoor, when Florida State's one of the 3 best teams in the country, Trent Forrest has 8 steals in that game, but they go cold from 3. I think they shot 2 of 19 from 3 or something like that. And then you have that bogus cylinder call at the end of that game that I am still mad about because I was in attendance for that game. So it's just all this setup for, finally beating Duke, finally getting over that hump. Because really, even when Duke's bad, they're still the gold standard in the ACC. It doesn't matter if they're 9-9 like they were in the conference last year. They're still the gold standard because Coach K has been that guy for, 25, 30 years. He's always been the standard. So anytime you can beat him, fans are going to be happy. And let's face it, Florida State, as good as the basketball team has been, is still a football school. And the casual fan's going to go, oh my God, we beat Duke. Like, it's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen. I wasn't upset about it. It was just payoff from 3 years ago.
I was all for it.
It's probably not going to happen for the next half decade.
Well, and I think the students deserve it. The way that they've been coming to games, selling out that section, they deserve all the world to them to go down there and celebrate with friends and take videos. Like, that was awesome.
It's been long overdue that the students get more seating. Because go back to
I couldn't imagine more seating with them. Yeah,
go back to the Miami game. On a Tuesday night, that student section was packed. They were making noise all game, and then you look at the rest of the crowd, and it's like, what are we doing? I know everyone wants to move the students, which I'm all for it, but it's just not going to happen because those seats are safe for the boosters. But you got to give them at the very least more seats. Whether it's the other side of the tuck, they just need more seats in general because they're selling out every game instantly.
Yeah, no, it's quick and fast, and it's good. I mean, the girls love coming. The guys obviously want to come. It's a great little date night situation. I can't say back in my day. Back in my day, a little basketball game wasn't a bad idea because the girls don't have to go to a football game. I mean, I would kill to go on a date for a football game, but if I got to go basketball, I got to go basketball just because you don't get the hair messed up in there. You can grab a few drinks, Nate. It works out for you in college. Definitely, works out. Is that kind of a wrap on basketball there?
Pretty much, because you'll have 2 games this week. You have at Miami Saturday, and you go at Georgia Tech Wednesday, which I'm hoping to be there for. We'll see. I got to get some things figured out, but I'm hopefully be at that one in Atlanta. And Georgia Tech's bad, so I don't really want to talk about them right now.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Real quick, 21's asking, hey, Logan, what do you guys think about the Paul Feinbaum article and what he said about Florida State joining the SEC? Thank you, 21, for checking that article today. That's our top read article right now, still kicking
as
this
long
evening.
As they can get the hell out of the ACC. I don't
Doubt he read your article about it. You're not the only one that wrote about it. You just stole it.
No.
I agree with what Nate said. It doesn't have to be the SEC. Just get the hell out of the ACC, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to do. I don't care about the football side of it.
I don't care if it's the Big 12. Get out of the ACC.
Independent.
I don't care about the football side of things. I just don't want another basketball game ever associated by Jamie Lucky, Teddy Valentine, or Roger Ayers. Please get me out of this conference.
How much money do you make in the independent conference?
Who cares? Get me out of the ACC.
Yeah, Paul said in an interview, he said, if you're sitting there in a Notre Dame position, why do you join the ACC with that approach? And if you're Clemson or some of these other schools, Florida State in particular, you have to be asking yourself, why don't we join a super league and really say, who cares what the rest of college football does? We're joining the only conference that matters. And, of course, that's always Feinbaum and his SEC love there showing. But he always mentioned Oklahoma and Texas in this last summer announcing they're going to be joining the SEC. I know later than 2025. But, yeah, that was a big discussion on our Facebook and Twitter, too. I think it's
do
like
it.
100.
Everyone's so chicken little about, facing Bama and whatnot, but it's going to allow Florida State, which is a big name program across the country, they're going to be able to recruit better financially, the money that's involved in the SEC. So it just makes a lot of sense to make that jump.
Mm-hmm. Money.
With the NIL movement, FSU needs to be as competitive. Right now, the SEC has a competitive advantage very much over every other conference and most of the teams in the country.
Yep. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. Unless any of y'all have anything more on here, we're looking forward to having. Can we say it, D-Lou? Our guest next week.
Yeah.
Nate said
I can't wait for that, man. I'm so excited.
What are you talking about?
This one's Parson. This is Parson next week.
Okay. I thought we were talking about the other one.
I think the other one's done.
But I know you can't. I know you can't wait to talk to Chris Parson either, though, Nate.
Yeah,
no. I'd love to talk to Chris Parson.
Yeah, but there's one in the works that's still trying to get all.
No, it's not in the works.
Tunnels. Well, there is.
No, it needs to happen because
it's been admitted.
It needs to happen because of the banter that would be just absolutely.
The banter would be.
I mean, there's a lot of banter that might be the one and done we'll ever have of an interview.
Well, no,
I don't think it'll be banter. It'll be a good discussion.
Yeah, it'd be a very good discussion. I think that would. I'm sure he wants to address it too.
Oh yeah, no, I think it'd be great.
I doubt it.
And we have to leave the name unsaid, and we'll let fans speculate.
Yes.
This was a lot. This was a lot tonight. I talked
about basketball for 25 minutes and no one got tired.
And again,
Well, Dustin was on his phone. I did see Dustin on his phone.
Be on the lookout for boneless buddies.
I got a DM that I had to reply to.
Whoa, you're married.
You're interfering with my boneless buddies plug right now, Logan.
I'm so sorry about that. I am so sorry. What do you want to tell your boneless buddies followers out there?
Next week, maybe I'll shoot you over the movie. We can play it.
Oh,
The movie?
you already made the movie. There's no way.
Yeah, and it has a very commercial tone, like a great melody to it. You know, like I can snap my fingers. Dun, dun, dun,
I'm
dun, dun,
already
dun,
regretting watching it. And I haven't even watched it yet.
No, God help us, Jesus! I can't wait. The last one was a great video. I'm looking forward.
The only thing I need is a picture of Dustin eating wings. That would put it
We
over.
can get that.
That would put it over the edge.
You don't already have pictures of you eating wings, D-Lou?
I don't know. I'm not really trying to get an action shot whenever I'm chowing down on some Carolina Golds, but we can see what happens.
Yeah,
Dustin,
you're getting
ripped. like a selfie.
Well, Dustin, if you want to profit from this venture that's going to blow up,
you're gonna have to put some work in.
I need.
What do you mean? If I want to profit, I came up with boneless buddies. I own it.
No, you did. No, I've taken it.
What do you mean, though? That's my intellectual property,
no.
bro.
You took his recruiting journalist. He's taking boneless buddies.
Yep.
That's how it works.
It's a trade-off. We'll arm wrestle for it.
Curtis is on here just ripping Dustin's background. I'm loving this because I've already thought, we got to make some upgrades back there. But Dustin, I'm sorry, you just got to get some LEDs back there. He said, and he said Logan's is great as usual, and I pride myself in making sure.
I mean, my background's nothing. Mine's a wall.
Yeah, you're on your phone.
Yeah,
I just think it's the beautiful face that they look at.
Yeah, no, I think your camera's great. I think it's just fun to rip on Dustin.
I got to put this Bobby Bowden picture up. It'll look a lot better.
Work on that tomorrow.
If I can get this thing.
Show us it. What do we got? That's an awesome.
It's a good one.
Yeah, why is that? Why is not hanging up, dude?
You should get a green screen and.
Dude, I hope you fall backwards. That'd be awesome.
Well, what we need though, we need to talk to SI because some of the other sites they got like banners and stuff in the back of their podcast.
Yeah, hook that shit up, man.
We got to get the hook up.
I'll make a little setup right here, in my video chair.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize I didn't have the NG logo flipped up all day. Whoops.
Wow, not repping the brand. Well, good thing we have the NG logo right by your head, and we've had it there the majority of the show.
Yeah, but I like having it there because usually I'm on the bottom left. Usually.
Yeah. Carol saying the best of the boneless buddies on video. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Carol, we love Carol.
I'm sure Carol and all her support. I'm sure Carol will.
Carol's got to get a free shirt. You got
no. There's nothing free. She still got.
I don't think I'm going to get a free shirt out of this.
There's nothing free.
Still got to put in on it, But maybe we'll cut her a 2-for-1 deal.
Maybe like a $1 discount.
Buy
That's
one.
Messed up.
Buy one for 40, get two for 80.
You gotta have like a catchy slogan. It's gotta be like buy one get one boneless, where it's like free shipping or something.
Yeah.
So this is where you need to do your part, Logan, and work with
my part. I'm not a part of this. I'm not in the campaign.
Now listen, this is where you need to do your part. With every purchase of a shirt, you get a free order of boneless from Hobbit.
Yeah, I just sent you
I've already got stuff written down, man. Once you got the podcast last week, my mind was going.
Oh, I know that. Well, we were worried if you weren't going to show up on time here, you're going to kind of lose your campaign followers. But I'm glad that you're keeping them on here.
No, I mean the fact that it was talked about the basketball game just tells me that this is something that
I should have never sent that in there.
This is meant to be.
Say it, Dustin was going to say it.
Yeah, no, but I was in a good mood. I mean, they just beat Duke, so I was like, I should tell Nate. So, shout out to those two listeners. If they're hearing this right now, I want to send them some NG merch. So if you're listening, hit the DMs, Twitter, Instagram. If you're in the Discord, hit us up. Definitely appreciate y'all listening.
I'm already thinking Valentine's Day. We can have will you be my boneless buddy? We
absolutely
keep rolling.
Look now, Nate just got Chubb. Nate's got Nate. Look what you've done.
Yeah,
Make some the little candy heart things.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, if we play it right, I mean,
who knows? Who knows?
I mean, those things can't be that expensive to make. You can have different
Sky's the
pictures
limit,
of Austin and Logan and like of Dustin eating wings. That could be like the pictures.
We are sponsored with Hobbit. We're trying to figure out the contract for this new year, but we're expecting to be with Hobbit again. They've enjoyed having us, and we definitely enjoy having them. And we got some cool things we're trying to do too, NIL related. Maybe do some events, live podcasts. I feel like we got to do a live podcast, man. I'm kind of worried though. I don't know if someone having y'all like on YouTube and not seeing y'all in person. Now, Carol, I definitely cool. Carol gets first grabs at the seats up front, but I don't know, a podcast, beer involved.
The
I don't
thing
know.
is getting all four of us in the same spot.
We tried it this last season, and
it happens like once a year.
Yeah, Logan and Dustin live in Tallahassee. I'm in Charlotte, and then Nathan Bradenton, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's kind of tough.
I just think I had to drag my ass up there because I hate that drive.
You can do it. I believe in you.
It should be New Orleans, really.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but that would be an incredible spot to
it
do a
should
live
be
podcast.
It should be in Baton Rouge.
The car.
Right, it should be in Baton Rouge, but I'll settle for New Orleans because New Orleans is my favorite food city.
So Logan, I'll come up there, and the three of us will carpool because it's not that far of a drive to New Orleans from Tallahassee.
Yeah, that would be.
I can fly.
All four of us in a car.
No, I can. I'll just fly there.
No, I'm not including Austin. Austin can fly.
Yeah,
I'm talking about me, Dustin, and Logan in the car together for 10 hours would be great.
Just for me alone, like Charlotte to Tallahassee is 8.5, 9 hours. So then tack on another 4 hours each way to New Orleans. It's not a fun trip.
I'll need mental health counseling after that try.
I'm just keeping this comment on here because it says Logan is great as usual. So
no, it says Logan great as usual.
You could use the clout.
Yeah, trying to add it on there and build the brand.
And then, my birthday is Wednesday, so
that's right.
So make sure that y'all.
Oh yeah.
I would really love to get some boneless buddy stuff up and going before. That'd be.
That's all up to you. Oh
so,
God.
Let me tell you, Nate. I know you ain't getting nothing from your birthday from Logan because this guy couldn't even bring me a wedding gift.
Here we go.
So
I know you ain't I gave the Jared Verse news.
You gave me the Jared Verse news.
You were in the wedding and you did not get him a wedding.
Yeah,
gift?
bro.
The Jared Verse one, we had to make an agreement there.
When did that come? When did that come out though? That came out after the New Year, not my wedding, asshole.
Well, the thing was though,
you
messed up, so that's what happened. Huh?
Nothing. Also, Dustin's never gonna let me live this down. I swear, every time he asks me on Twitter, he's like, "Yeah, but you weren't at my wedding."
It's all right.
Hey,
Logan's higher up on the shit list because I couldn't even get a gift, bro.
I had COVID.
He wants a $3,000 laptop. He wants a $3,000 laptop, or he ain't gonna be happy.
Not even a gift card, bro.
I couldn't even get a written out card that said like "Congrats, man."
Not even a $50 gift card to Target.
He ate my.
I cried at his wedding. That should be good enough. Where are the photos at?
There's no way.
He did the whole open bar. He drank all.
That was Lopes. That was Lopes.
I couldn't get one gift, so
that was Lopes.
I don't want to hear what this man has to say.
My gift to him is right here talking to him tonight. And
that gift is bullshit. And so are you.
You should have got him like the 12 months.
Well, if I get him a shirt, he ain't gonna wear it. He doesn't wear anything.
I don't want no shirt. I want a gift.
It's like the Jelly of the Month Club.
I'm gonna give him
the gift that keeps on giving. You have a job.
If it's a gray shirt,
that is right. That is right. He does have a job. He does have. He pays way more than what he has currently. That is true. That is true. All right, I think that's a wrap.
It barely pays.
God. Oh, Dustin, everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna make some money off boneless buddies. I mean, you're venturing out in different kinds of areas now.
Dustin,
I mean, you have three different avenues of making money.
Logan, be quiet. Dustin, once boneless buddies takes off and we separate from these two turds, I mean, we're gonna be rolling in the cash, because it's not tied to No Game Day. It's tied to Dustin and Nate. So
Nate,
I mean, the conglomerate that we can make this is just like, I'm not gonna say it's infinite, but it's pretty high ceiling that we can, make a run at this.
I'm down for this. I just got one question for you, man.
Mhm.
Like when this all works out, will you just give me a gift?
Who, Logan or me?
No, you.
You're
a better man than this motherfucker.
I will get you a gift. Maybe like a plaque of Boneless Buddies. Like a first million sales of shirts. We'll figure it out.
I like that.
Million of shirts. I've got dogs barking like a mother F in the background, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Holy shit! I'm in an animal shelter right now. Holy hell! God Almighty! Wait, so I need to go watch the Old Yeller show or the movie. God damn. William with the 5 bomb to end off the show. That $5 is going to Dustin. Sorry guys, but
There's your
gonna be
wedding
the gift.
I'm gonna cut your brake line, buddy.
Hey, that $5 can get you a great Whataburger breakfast, man.
And that's all he needs.
No, it can't. My order costs about $13.82.
What?
That's what you should do, Logan. Logan, you should get him a $100 gift card to Whataburger.
I think that might work. That could do it right there. But he'll say it doesn't
be able to patch things over potentially.
Patch things over. Jesus. All right, I gotta get out of here. I gotta let these dogs out there before they piss and shit all over the crate. So
he really didn't give me a gift though.
Oh my God. All right, we gotta move on. Let's move on. Here we go. All right, well, we say goodbye to Dustin down there. All right, everybody enjoy the evening. Appreciate everybody watching. This was a lot of people on here tonight. I know Twitter
was 2 hours, man. Let's go, bro.
YouTube was kicking today, over 200 tonight. So make sure you hit the like button before leaving. Appreciate everybody commenting and hanging out with us, and William for the little 5 bomb there. And we will talk to you guys next week on Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. with Chris Parson, 2023 quarterback commit. Should be a really good interview.
Yes, and yeah, I won't say that. It's inappropriate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here before he eventually does say it. I'm out. Bye.
Yeah.
Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to say a word.